Hey guys, it's Jake and Bandit here. It's been 24 hours since Bandit was attacked, and you can see on this side of his face, right there by the corner of his mouth, the vet had to do some shaving there, and that's what got ripped open by the neighbor's dog. But just look at the boy. His eyes are nice and clear. He's attentive. He's eating. He's happy. Kiss. Thank you, buddy. So Bandit's doing better. So that's really good. It's a little bit swollen there, and some of that is the stitches. The vet did all the stitches on the inside, so he can't paw them off. And they're the dissolving kind of stitches, so he doesn't have to go through the trauma of having tools in his mouth again. And they give him a general anesthetic when they fixed his mouth, just in case. And hopefully no other problems will develop. I was initially concerned because he was sneezing, and he was sneezing up a misty blood. And I thought maybe something in his nose, one of the bones in his head by his sinuses might have gotten broken. And it may be that he's got a crack in one of those bones in his skull somewhere, but there's nothing they're going to do about that. They just can't. They're just going to let it heal because he's able to breathe well, and good dog. So that's Bandit. Now let's get on to what we're talking about today. It is SVORD Day. I bought these two knives a while back. Now, I bought the SVORD Peasant a while ago. You might remember the video with the white-handled version of the SVORD Peasant, you know, the basic edition, which is this size, the full-size SVORD Peasant. What I have here is with Sandvik 12C27 stainless steel blade instead of the carbon steel blade. I really, really like the SVORD. I sold off the white one, or I gave it away as a gift or something. I forget why or how I did it. And then I was without it for a couple months, and I realized, hey, I really do like that knife. And I decided to buy a stainless steel version. So I won't be doing a full video about this, but we'll be talking about this in today's video. And I also got this. I went and bought this, paid full price. It was on sale. Titanium handle scales, the SVORD Peasant Mini. Now the Mini isn't that hard to get, but the ones with the the metal liner frame, liners, the metal frame, they're a little bit harder to get. They're limited runs, and I think all of these that I found were from knifecenter.com in the United States, and hopefully they still have some left by the time you see this video. And I think they've got them with copper handles, these titanium handles, and some other type of metal handles. And it's just a nice little knife, carbon steel blade, you know, and it stays in your pocket when you need it. And when you're ready to use it, your hand goes over the spine of the blade, and it's as good as a locked blade. Something hits the back of it, and it's not going to close because your hand is over the back of it. And it's just a strong, sturdy little knife that does everything you need, and it works exactly the same way as its big brother, the full-size Peasant. Now, you can get these knives the same size with a Bowie kind of blade. I like SVORD, and I like Brian over at SVORD in New Zealand. And he's got his own business, his own shop. He runs the place, still owns it and runs it and everything. And he sent me this. And we've been emailing back and forth, and he was working on a new product recently. And I think this might be from his first run of that product. There we go. That he put out. Oh, there's something else in here. Piece of paper. So here's a letter from Brian. Hi, Jake. Please find enclosed 2 samples of our new product, the Zero Metal Peasant Knife. So there's no metal at all. Wow. The Zero Metal Peasant Knife. And replacement blade. FYI, they can be resharpened with a nail emery board, and are probably the only serrated plastic blade on the market that can be resharpened. The knife retails approximately $9.99 US, $9.99 US, and the spare blade retails for $4.99. So that's kind of cool. So let's open this up. A all plastic knife. Very interesting. That could be a knife that you use to teach, some children some knife safety. A cool knife to take along camping, maybe. All plastic. Interesting. Now, is this just a gimmick? I don't think so. I think it's an actual full product that he's making. And yeah, they screw in tight. Use a standard flat driver there to tighten it up. And the replacement blade. Here's the spare blade. 2 7/8 inches blade. The zero metal. Very interesting. That's a cool idea. Now, using an emery board, use emery boards. Women know exactly what an emery board is. They use it to file their nails. A lot of guys do too. And that's what the blade looks like. So we're going to take a look at this. We're going to test it out, see what it can cut, see what it can't cut, and maybe even see how easy it is to sharpen this. And we're going to go into a desktop mode right now and talk about these knives. And the video won't be released until I also talk about this knife. So all 3 of these SVORD knives are coming to you in this review video. Stay tuned. Okay, let's start with this one. This one's titanium handle scales. You can get this exact same knife with zinc handle scales. Those are the least expensive. Or you can get it with copper or brass. And I don't think there's any other metals, but there might be. There are some painted metal versions out there. This is a high carbon steel, the same steel that they used on their full-size Peasant. So it's a good steel. And you get this leather pouch that goes with it. You got brass screws holding it together. They've been peened on both sides, so they won't change. They won't adjust at all. And in the back, it's just a screw. It's been partially screwed and then peened. So it does have one little, I'm not going to call it an issue. So it has one little aspect to it, which is the handle scales can go in and out. So when the blade is in there, you can pinch it a little bit. I'm thinking about putting some G10 spacer in there and epoxying it in there, but really it's no big deal at all that it moves just a little bit. It's not a problem. It's been peened and everything. That screw's not going to move. And you can see that it was peened by how flat the screw tips are. You can see the circle on them. And so they were put on a flat, hard surface, and then they were hammered. And so the back is peened, and the top has been flattened out a little bit, so they don't move. They're designed not to come apart. Now, if you want to take your knife apart, it's easily done. You just grind that bolt down, that screw down a little bit, and take it apart. And of course, you'd have to replace the screws, and you can either put them back the same way, peened. In that case, use a soft screw like a brass one. Or you could put a nut on the other side, but then you're going to bulk up the handle a bit. So generally, don't take this knife style apart. It's got a high flat grind here, hand ground all the way, and then the edge, the final grind on the edge was done at a very shallow angle, which gave this thing a really aggressive edge. Now, I have sharpened it since then, and you can probably see it in this side here. See how sharp much steel has been ground away at the tip of the blade there. And then you can see the shiny part where I sharpened it, which is, much less. It's just like a millimeter up there. And same thing down the rest of the blade. I'll give you close-ups of that. They sharpened it at a very steep angle, I think around 16, 15, 14 degrees, something like that. And so I've resharpened it to around 15. Very nice. I like it. Nice and light, easy in the hand. And I'll put the weights and the measurements on the screen so that you can see that information for yourself. This is the Micro. Now they've got the next group up is called the Mini. The Mini has a 2.5-inch blade, so it's a fair bit larger. And the Mini comes with either wood handles or polypropylene handles. I think there might be some with metal handles as well. And you got your choices there like crazy. And then your full-size 3-inch version comes with either polypropylene handles or wood handles. I've not seen the full-size one with metal. With metal handles, but there's probably some out there that have been made. Same thing with this blade. It was hand sharpened to about 17 degrees on both sides, and you can especially see it on this one, probably even better than the other one. If I get it to focus here. Let me put my hand this way to get it to focus. There you go. So here you can see the blade that's been sharpened, and initially it was sharpened quite a ways up the blade at quite a shallow angle. And then you can see I've resharpened it just to the edge there. And so it was a very shallow angle near the tip of the blade. Now it's just about 20, actually no, it's about 18, 17 and a half to 18 all the way across. I forget, I wrote it down, but I forget what the number is right now, because I misplaced that piece of paper. On this side, even better, you can see that. But you can also see where I ended up. I was using the M2 system by Hapstone, and I wasn't careful, and I was riding the sharpening, the stone totally over the edge, and then the nuts or the screws on the sharpening device were sliding on the bevel. So that's why there's some marks there, but I can sand those down pretty easily. But you can see at the tip of this blade too, the same thing, really shallow angle, the more aggressive grind lines there. Then you see the really fine edge just near the edge right there. So yeah, and this knife, this one's 12C27 Sandvik, really nice. You can get it in the carbon steel. You can also get it in the carbon steel with a Bowie style blade. There's that. There's others available as well. And wow, how much does all this stuff cost? Well, at Knife Center, these micros are, there's a zinc one for like $15 US. So for these little guys, these are the micro, under 2 inches, 1.87 inches, something like that. Knife Center has it with zinc handle scales, zinc handles for around $15 US. You can get copper or brass for $22.95 US, so that's nice. And then the next size up is the mini. So this is micro. There's the mini that's in between. And the mini is, depending on what type of handle it is, you're looking at anywhere from $13.95 to $23 to $25. It all depends on where you're buying it and depending on the materials that are on the handles. And same thing here. These guys, this one right here with this plastic, I think I paid $22.95 for it. That's with the 12C27. You can get it with carbon steel for like $16. Very economical. That's US dollars. And then you got to ship them to Canada. If you're living in Canada, though, just hold on for a little while. There's a brand new distributor in Canada, and that distributorship is owned by one of my viewers. If you've seen the Hewitt Custom Knife Works comment on some of my videos, he owns that Puma knife distributorship in Canada, so the Puma knives come from him, and he's just starting a SVORD distributor, or actually a store as well, an online store. So svordknives.ca, I think it is, and their website isn't totally up yet, but there's a form on that first page that you can send them your email address, and they will email you when the store opens. So that's a really good thing, and they say that they've got some of these in stock. So as soon as that Canadian store opens up, you'll be able to get one of these. Now, the price that I gave you in the intro, that's the price that SVORD thinks they're going to sell for in the United States. Now, in Canada, I don't know the price yet, but it's not going to be too terribly high. It's going to be cheaper than the steel versions. And it's just kind of cool to have a no steel knife, something to teach kids, to use, but it's bigger. This might be a good camping knife. And I'm going to cut a few things with it and do some demonstration stuff. Okay, well, here we've got a hot dog. Wow, I'm actually quite surprised how smooth that edge is that it's cutting. That's a very smooth edge. I'm actually surprised. Well, let's see if it'll butter some bread. Okay, I've got some butter. Yep, spreads butter quite well. No problem with that. Well, and now it's time to cut the cheese. Wow. Yeah, you can see the serrated lines. Well, you might not be able to see them on your screen, but I can see the serrated lines where the knife went through and cut pretty straight. So yeah, the Peasant, no steel knife. It's actually quite good. If you have a reason to change this blade, and you might, who knows what the reason might be, let's say you were using it and you were silly enough to use it in a cast iron pot that was hot and you melted it. I don't know. You might need to change the blade. You can use a screwdriver or use a small coin. In this case, it's a Canadian dime. And get it started. And it's coming apart. I can even use my thumbnail because once it's coming loose, you know, it's not on super tight and it's easy to take apart. So there's that one, and take this one off, hold it with one hand and turn it with the other. There we go, and then it comes off. That easy. There's a pin right there, nice and bright orange so you won't lose it very easily. And you take the other one, the new one, and you put it in place. And you put your knife back together. There you go. And you put the screw back in. Voila! That's all it takes. Easy squeezy. It's just a plastic screw here. There's no need to over tighten it. You just bring it in and snug it up a little bit, and it leaves a spacer in there. And same thing with this side. If you make it full tightness, you know, it will be a little harder to open and close it. So you decide how much friction you want. And there you go, voila, you've changed the blade. It's even got a number 7 on it, so recyclable plastic number 7. That's for the blade. I don't know if the handles are recyclable, what kind of number the recycling number would be. New Zealand SVORD no metal knife. Cool idea. And the fact that you can sharpen it using an emery board, or I've got, instead of sharpening stones, I've got some just one side sticky sandpaper. I could put sandpaper on my TS Pro sharpening system or my Hapstone sharpening system and just sharpen the edge just a little bit using sandpaper. Just nothing too terribly rough because it'll be much easier to take plastic off than it is to take steel off. So don't overdo it. Just be careful. Now, pretty much the only thing you're going to cut with this is foodstuffs, spread some butter, things like that. That's what this is for. These knives, they'll cut just about anything and everything that a knife this size should cut. And I've used these an awful lot. Brass screws here, very strong. It's held with friction. Go and see my full video review of the one of this knife, the Peasant with carbon steel, and that'll explain everything else about these knives. This video is more of a check this out kind of video. There's some cool stuff around. I do have links for Amazon for some of these items. I do get a little bit of money from Amazon if you use any of my links. And I've got a whole Amazon influencer page for Amazon.com were knives that I've looked at and like. It's easy to find them, so I'll put those links down below. Everything else, all the other links down below, I don't get any commission from them, but if you want to, you can let them know that you found out about it from Canadian Cutting Edge. And who knows, maybe they'll send me some love eventually. So this knife, it just sort of tucks in, and the friction will hold it. You can put in a split ring on the back here if you want to, or you just go and use the knife. Feels quite well. The packaging, they got some kind of cool packaging. It's kind of retro style. Here's just the replacement blade package. And, here's the replacement blade. And they just ship it to you in here, like that. And that's how it's, on display in the store. Easy enough to get from New Zealand. And here's the basic package. One thing I really like about SVORD is they're really easy on the packaging. It's a company that longs to be environmentally friendly. Paper's totally recyclable, and it's a small amount of paper to start with. So that's really nice that way. Non-threatening, great for traveling, and of course, made in New Zealand. So here's the SVORD knives. So SVORD, if you've not heard of them, check out the company. Go to SVORD.com, check out what they do, and go to some stores that sell SVORD knives, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. So thanks for watching my little video about SVORD Peasant knives. They've got a number of other knives too. They've got fixed blades that are awesome. I've got a couple of those reviewed. And so if you're looking for a knife and you want something that is a little different than what you normally see, check out SVORD. Thanks for watching, liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Remember, guys, always cut towards or butter towards your bread and not your head. No, that sounds kind of silly, doesn't it? But I do carry this one quite a bit, and I've got to make sure that I cut towards my chum and not my thumb.